Kory again, and today he's got another deck profile for us. Today he has Chain Burn, which is another deck that...
Yet another deck.
Yeah. But anyway, I'll let him explain.
Alright, so this entire deck is pretty much focused around burn, stall, draw, and that's pretty much the entire premise of this deck. You really have nothing in this deck you want to attack with, unless you want your monsters off the field for whatever reason, or to get off Backjack's effect. I know it's called Backjack, but Blackjack, man. Anyways, I'll just explain everything in the deck profile, so let's just begin right off the bat. Alright, so your first big monster is, of course, the big bad Lava Golem, one of the original Kaijus. His only downside is that you can't normal summon after you special summon this. But the 1000 burn that is almost guaranteed on your opponent after you do this, and no matter what, they're pretty much negging their monsters, and you can choose any two instead of distributing them off. Masterpiece has got nothing on this shit. The only problem is that since it's a 3000 beater, your opponent can attack you with it, but that's why we run enough stall cards to make it so your opponent can attack you and just keep burning for game. And if you can chain off of this card's effect while it's on your opponent's side with just the regular chain strike, then you can get up to easily a chain 6, which can do 400 times 6, 2400, and then whatever else you threw on there, so you're guaranteed to take off over about at least 3,400 if you get the chain strike on chain 6. But I thought about running 2, but 1 is more than good enough for what I need. Next, run 1 Metaion, the Timelord. He's more of a burn stall card than anything, because you play him so long as he doesn't get his effect negated, or pretty much, well, that's his only downfall. If he gets negated, then he's pretty much screwed and you're taking damage for that. But pretty much attack into go into battle phase, attack, return everything they have at end of battle phase now, and they take 300 for each card, and it's only returned to hand, so sadly this card doesn't really help you against Denko Sekka, but I don't really know many people who play that in their side deck besides people in our scrub league. So 300 burn, all return to hand. And another monster is, of course, Battle Fader. I prefer Battle Fader over Swift Scarecrow because his effect is just once he's summoned, the battle phase is ended. So once he touches board, there's not really much your opponent can do about it, unless they strike it, but then they're wasting a strike on a Battle Fader. They're paying life points, which you really don't want to do against a burn deck, to stop a Battle Fader, which, yeah, not fun for them. This one's a new addition that I ran into the deck recently, and it should be in the duel video, hopefully putting up soon. I run 3 Absolute King Blackjack. He's a great stall card. He lets you look through the top 3 cards of your deck and then set one of the traps during your turn, during your opponent's turn, so you can activate it whenever. And since you're looking at the top 3, normally say there's a Card of Demise in there, you have no cards in hand, you've already set this. You put a trap on top, activate his effect, set that trap, and then your next draw phase, you are drawing into that Card of Demise. Since you will probably have nothing by this point anyways, you're just going to activate, +2 off of it, set all 3, and pass, because that's usually what you do with this kind of deck. I don't know why I was so iffy about running him, but it's really good just as long as he's not getting attacked by a Chaos Max, unless you have a Dimension Wall on field, then it's just really funny. And the last 2 monsters I run are Cardcar D. It's draw, you're probably already setting all your stuff anyways. I used to run 2, but skipping on your turn and then drawing 2 is a bit more painful in this deck than it is in the side frames. And the last one I run is Maxx C, because who doesn't love Maxx C? Just, who doesn't? It's limited for a reason. Alright, and it is a low monster count, a little bit higher monster count than most burn decks, but you're really not running into these guys as often as you'd think. The only one you really want to run into is Backjack, and that's just so you can set up future plays. Onto the spells. You run the mandatory 2 Chain Strike. The deck is called Chain Burn after this card. Pretty much for every chain link after 2 that this is, it's 400 times the chain link, and you can chain a chain strike onto another chain strike for that extra damage, because technically there's only one activated in that chain already, so there isn't a second one. So you can do this. Just make sure you're not activating like 2 secret barrels or 2 secret blasts and then this one, because it's not legal at that point. So you'd be having a dead card on field. So you do gotta learn when you want to chain your stuff and think about your plays a little bit, or else it can really hurt you. You really only want to activate this when your opponent's activating a card effect first and you have a full 5 set. Next 3. The most costly card of this entire deck is 3 Card of Demise. Sadly, you do have to run this card. In this kind of deck, in this day and age, if you're not drawing into cards and you are running your hand out constantly with this deck, so you have to run this, otherwise you're just gonna run out of everything really damn fast. And the discard really doesn't hurt you unless you draw into a monster, because you can't special summon, but really, in all honesty, most of these guys can be normal summoned besides him. So these are really the only 2 you don't want to run into with this. Other than that, well, I guess Maxx C, but you're kind of ditching that later anyways, and it's helpful, but at the same time, situational. And then I run 3 Pot of Dualities. Like I said, there's only 1 card in this entire deck that special summons itself, so this card really is not hurting you, and if you're playing this anyways, you're probably not adding Lava Golem to your hand. But hey, you get to search the top 3, choose 1, and then go, and with this kind of deck, you want that kind of setup. And that's it for spells now, and on to traps. 3 Secret Barrel. This card is a godsend for all Chainburn players, because with how many people that can go +5 in today's day and age with the spiral combos and just, okay, go ahead and set an entire board, get another 5 in hand, and main phase, I'm going to chain a bunch of shit onto you, and you're going to take a lot of damage whether you like it or not. But yeah, you have to run 3 Secret Barrel. Next is, this one's sometimes better, sometimes worse brother, is Secret Blast. You really do not want to activate this when your opponent has less than 3 cards on their field, because you're only doing 900 then, and you kind of want to hope that they destroy it in the process, because then they're taking 1,000, and it's going to be a lot more dangerous to them at that point. So this card makes them somewhat scared to start nuking your back row for fear of what's going to happen when they do. Next is 3 Just Desserts, because with all the field spam nowadays, activating 3 of these in 1 turn and doing 7,500 damage against all your opponent's monsters if they just have 5 and not even the link zone filled up, or the link zone and 4 zones filled up. 3 of these, and I can guarantee you're going to get some other form of burn in there, so it's going to be deadly. But along with these guys, I also run the 2 Ceasefires, because nobody really runs normal monsters anymore besides the phantasmal spirals. So this one also works with your cards as well. So say your opponent has the 5 and you're just setting down a Metaion, right? They enter battle phase, and on the end main phase, you activate this. They got their 5 they're taking it for, and then they're taking an extra 500, so 3k possible. Well, 35 with the link zone, but this deck doesn't have an extra deck, so they're gonna be taking about 35 at probably best. But you can get it off with just in tandem with these guys. It's just way too beautiful. And these guys can probably do most of your burn damage for you. I'm thinking about throwing in a second Ceasefire, or a third Ceasefire, but we'll see how the deck keeps going for now. And then the limited Ring of Destruction. If you activate this as Chain Link 1, technically you are activating it on a legal target. So say they have 4,000 life points, okay? You put this on a 3,000 Blue Eyes, and then you burn them for over 1,000 worth of damage. By the time it gets down to this effect is still legal, because when it was activated, it was on a legal target. So this card can burn them for game, but just don't forget that it burns you first before it will burn your opponent. So if your life points hit 0 with this before theirs does, you lose first, which means they get the game, and that is something you do have to be careful of. So play it with caution. And one of my favorites in this deck is Ojama Trio. I made a mistake when I ordered these. I accidentally ordered the Ojama Duos. But Ojama Trio works so much better because in conjunction with just Desserts, which is why I'm only running 2 Ceasefires. With just Desserts, your opponent has 2 monsters, and on the second summon, you chain it to this, and then activate a bunch of Just Desserts, and then have this as the last chain link. They're taking 2,500 at that point from just the Just Desserts. So, granted, it would be kind of fun to play Ojama Trio and Ojama Duo. They play a spell first, and then you activate both, and their field's clogged. But with the link format, you don't want to be giving them too many tokens. You kind of want to burn them as fast as possible. And you don't have anything in this deck that can attack over this that you have on your side of the field, any of the tokens on your side of the field, so you're probably not getting the burn damage off of these tokens being destroyed, but you never know. I'm going to be signing in a Raigeki Dark Hole for a reason. And on to the next, 2 Dimension Walls. These cards took the longest time to get to me in the mail. They came all the way over from the UK, but I got them. The shipping was insane, but it is so worth it. It's like Magical Cylinder, but instead of activating on your opponent's monster, it activates on the player. So pretty much, they attack your Backjack with Chaos Max. You activate this. Since you would have taken the 8,000, they're now taking the 8,000. That's game. So I love to back up Backjack with this, or just normal summon any card in attack position and forget about how many monsters they have on board, and hopefully they're getting cocky by that point and will just attack and Dimension Wall, chain the other 4 back row you hopefully have with this, and they're probably going to be taking a hell of a lot of damage. 1 Blazing Mirror Force, it's once again helpful for stopping you from taking all of the damage from the attacks, and instead just takes the damage of half of all the monsters. So you kind of got to do risk versus reward on this, but it is still a burn card, and with the rest of the burn in here, this card becomes incredibly helpful because hopefully your opponent's life points are a lot lower than yours by this point. Just same thing with Ring of Destruction. This card burns you first, so you do have to be careful about activation. And then, because this is part stall, you run 3 Threatening Roar and 1 Waboku. You don't want to be taking too much battle damage. I mean, you gotta get used to taking some damage with this deck because it's chain burn. You're not always gonna have something on field, and you gotta get back advantage somehow. But these cards will helpfully prevent you from being OTK'd, so you gotta be kind of wise on when you activate them. Thinking about throwing in a second Waboku at some point, or maybe even a third in the side deck for all that fun stuff. But for now, this 4 ratio is pretty good because I already have Battle Fader and a couple other cards to kind of stop battle anyways. So just the 4 ratio is working decently well for now. And the last 3 cards is 3 Reckless Greed. Once I get my hands on 2 more Accumulated Fortune, you can bet your ass they're going in here. Because it may be situational, but hopefully you'll be pulling it off as a Chain Link 4 or higher, which is easy enough to do, but at the same time it can be a pain in the ass. So I'm probably going to be switching these ones out with the side deck and Accumulated Fortune, just back and forth, seeing which one works better in most situations. But for now, the 3 Reckless Greed is more than helpful because you're hopefully drawing into burn cards, or better yet, drawing into a Card of Demise off of this. So you're pretty much going plus, at that point, to be +1 off this because this is a -1 on just one of them. But don't forget, next 2 draw phases means it's stacked. It does not stack, so it's your next 2 draw phases. If you activate 3 of these guys, you're drawing 6, skipping 2. That's it. But that's all the cards I have in this Chain Burn deck. It's a little rough around the edges, I'm not gonna lie. I'm working on it slowly, trying to figure out which ratios work best in this. But for now, it's working decently well, and I'm actually kind of enjoying it. It's teaching me a lot about the fact that you don't have to, that life points are just a resource. All in all, I really do enjoy this deck, and hope I see you guys next time on my next deck profile whenever that comes. Have a great day.